I'm First Lieutenant Sarah Johnson, Chief of Public Affairs for the 501st Combat Support Wing. Thank you for being here today. In a few moments, Colonel Ron Cheatham, Vice Commander, 501st Combat Support Wing, and Lieutenant Colonel Mike Esposito, Bomber Task Force Commander, will give opening remarks. Afterward, the United States Air Force's principal spokesperson for this event, Lieutenant General Jeffrey Harrigian, Deputy Commander, United States Air Forces in Europe, Air Forces Africa, will give brief remarks regarding the Bomber Task Force deployment of B-52 Stratofortress aircraft, airmen, and support equipment to RAF Fairford. After his remarks, Lieutenant General Harrigian will be available for about 15 minutes to answer your questions, and then we'll depart. For the remainder of the time, Colonel Cheatham and Lieutenant Colonel Esposito will be available for interviews, along with the Bomber Task Force B-52 aircrew. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Cheatham, Vice Commander, 501st Combat Support Wing.
Good afternoon. My name is Colonel Ron Cheatham. I am the Vice Wing Commander for the 501st Combat Support Wing. The 501st is comprised of 7 bases across the UK and Norway, and RAF Fairford is one of those bases. On behalf of the 55 professionals on this installation, along with the rest of the men and women who make up the 501st team, known as the Pathfinders, we are proud to welcome Lieutenant General Harrigian and to our host, friends from the 2nd Bomb Wing. We are especially grateful to be guests here in the UK. The British people, both locally and around the island where our team serves, have been absolutely phenomenal hosts, steadfast security partners, and in so many instances, invaluable friends. Thank you for the grace in your truly outstanding hospitality. We also appreciate the example through history that you've shown in defending freedom around the world. This year happens to mark the 75th anniversary for RAF Fairford. Since its origins supporting D-Day operations in 1944 to now, RAF Fairford has a storied American and British legacy of generating missions across the globe to ensure security and stability in an otherwise unstable world. Today, RAF Fairford is the premier forward operating location in Europe, and we hope to continue that legacy moving forward in meeting U.S. and NATO objectives. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, sir. Next for remarks is Lieutenant Colonel Esposito, Bomber Task Force Commander.
Thank you, Lieutenant Johnson. I'm honored and humbled to command this Bomber Task Force and to be here at RAF Fairford. On behalf of the 2nd Bomb Wing, I'd like to thank our hosts at United States Air Forces Europe, 501st Combat Support Wing, the 422nd Air Base Group, the 420th Air Base Squadron, the town of Fairford, and the surrounding communities. U.S. bombers have a long history of operating from England. I consider it a privilege to lead a U.S. Bomber Task Force near where so many iconic air power innovators have served before. I feel like I'm walking in the footsteps of Dewey Spots, Bomber Harris, and Jimmy Doolittle. Our task force is capable of operating and maintaining multiple B-52 aircraft, sustaining those operations for a prolonged period, and caring for the personnel conducting those operations with an organic combat support capability. We also provide a long-range precision strike capability for the United States European Command. On this deployment, we will validate our readiness and interoperability with regional allies and partners. Overall, our airmen will become familiar with European airspace procedures and enhance the skills and relationships key to operating in the European area of operations. Our bomber crews will exercise their readiness and proficiency. Our maintenance crews will generate and repair the aircraft that our crews need to operate. Our support team will provide security, communication, logistics, feeding, accountability, and other essential services. We'll also train with our allies and partners to tangibly demonstrate our commitment to security and stability. Being here in Europe enhances our professional relationships and improves our overall coordination with allied and partner militaries. Bomber missions demonstrate the credibility of our forces to address an uncertain global security environment. The ability to operate from Europe allows us to quickly respond and assure our partners with a forward and ready force. RAF Fairford provides tailored capabilities and facilities that make it an ideal platform to launch, recover, and maintain B-52 air power. The overwhelming support we receive from the wing, base, and community is welcoming, and it helps us overcome the inherent challenges of sustaining a force like this one. Again, thank you all for making us feel so welcome. We're very excited to be here in England and look forward to having a successful bomber rotation for United States European Command.
Thank you, sir. Finally, our spokesperson, Lieutenant General Harrigian, Deputy Commander, USAF Africa.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us here today. First, let me take this opportunity to thank our hosts here at RAF Fairford. You know, the RAF Fairford has always delivered, and they are truly great friends of us, and we appreciate everything that they do for us every day. You know, you are truly a testament to the special relationship our great nation share. Thank you as well to the 501st Combat Support Team and to the 2nd Bomb Wing for their incredible support. I think we all would acknowledge that today is an important day as we welcome the B-52 strategic bombers back to the European theater. This task force of 6 B-52s and about 200 supporting personnel bring a unique and highly potent air power capability to Europe. While here, the bombers will integrate into our U.S. and allied forces to demonstrate the strength and interoperability of our joint and combined arms teams. They will participate in multinational exercises like African Lion, while also conducting interoperability training with our NATO allies and European partners. The task force will operate across the USAF Africa theater from the Arctic all the way down to the Sahara Desert, demonstrating how the United States, with our allies and partners, can quickly amass at a time and place of our choosing to deter and defend against any possible aggression. The United States Air Force strategic bombers on display today demonstrate the credibility of our forces to address global security in a time that is diverse and often uncertain. The task force represents the largest numbers of bombers in the European theater since 2003, when we had 17 bombers deployed here to RAF Fairford in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. 16 years later, we are celebrating the 70th anniversary of NATO, and this bomber task force is just one example of U.S. strategic deterrence forces that protect our nation and the NATO alliance. The interoperability of this weapon system and the people who operate the weapon system in the European and African theaters demonstrates our support to our NATO and European allies by continuing to ensure a ready and postured force focused on deterring and avoiding conflict. This deployment of combat air power is a visual example of our commitment. Our robust, reliable, flexible, and survivable strategic capabilities remain an important contribution to security in current and future warfighting domains. U.S. and allied forces are on watch 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to deter and detect attacks against the U.S. and our allies. Bomber deployments and operations enhance the readiness and training necessary to respond to contingencies across the globe. They familiarize our aircrew with air bases and operations in different geographic combatant commands and validate our always ready global strike capability. So let me again thank you all today for coming out, and I look forward to any questions you might have. Okay, who's going to be first? Sir.
Pat Carty, Defence Press Agency. I understand it's the first time the Bomber Force has been equipped with Mode S. How do the crews feel knowing that not only can other militaries be watching what you're doing, but a high percentage of the civilian population?
So certainly we're always aware of the environments that we're operating in. And as you can well imagine, we work closely with our allies and partners, and particularly here in the UK, to understand the operating environment that we're going to operate in. And I would offer to you that, as I mentioned, this visible deterrent is certainly something that people across the globe are going to recognize, but I want to focus on really the interoperability and the training that we're afforded to operate here in this environment, which quite frankly we don't often have the opportunity to do when we're operating back in the States. So this truly represents an opportunity to demonstrate our forward presence and operate with our partners.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Would this be the largest US bomber deployment in the UK since the Iraq War, as you mentioned? Why now, and what is the strategic thinking behind this for you? And do you have any more plans to enhance your presence in the UK?
Well, we're always looking for opportunities to train with our partners. And as we look across the globe, we look for areas that we have the partners that are willing to exercise and interoperate with us in manners that will achieve the global effects that we're looking to achieve, which frankly are to, number one, assure our partners, and then deter across the globe. And this is a great opportunity here in the UK to train with some very important partners and assure our NATO allies that we will be here, be forward and present with them should any larger conflict should ever occur.
Sorry, could you state your name and affiliation, ma'am?
Yeah, Sean Groscoe, Forces in the UK.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Sir.
Steve Nick, BBC. A couple of questions. Could you just talk a bit more about the importance of RAF Fairford to you and why it is so good for the work that you do?
So RAF Fairford, first off, as you can tell, is a fabulous place for us to operate. But I think more importantly, it provides us a strategic location that, as you look across the globe, affords us an opportunity to either go farther to the east or operate in the European area of operations. And fundamentally, the infrastructure that we have here and the relationships that we've built over time afford us an opportunity to quickly employ over here and then maneuver wherever the operations would drive us to operate in. And what I would offer to you is that this facility is something that gives us that flexibility and timely agility that we need.
And just a quick follow-up to the actual mission at the moment. How long are you going to be here on this mission? And could you give us more details about exactly what the B-52s are doing once they leave here on the trainer?
Right, so I'm not going to go into how long because I think that's going to depend on how things go over the course of the deployment here. But really what it does do is it affords us to increase our readiness by doing some of the things that we highlighted earlier in terms of being able to fly up towards the Baltics or down into Africa or even actually just here in Europe. And that's something that we often don't get to practice. And so refining those skills and then working with our partners provides us a really strategic opportunity to perform those together as a team with our partners. Sir?
Yes, sir, in the back.
William Howard, Stars and Stripes. How you doing, sir? Could you talk a little bit about the simultaneous training flights that these bombers are doing in Europe in the Pacific area for responsibility, what type of missions they're involved in, and number of airmen involved?
So the broader mission set really has been an opportunity to practice some of those interoperability skills, not only in operating here in this theater, but also, as you highlighted, in the Indo-PACOM environment. And so I can't talk specifically to their objectives, but more broadly, the ability to operate in the different environments at the same time and demonstrate the global reach and the capacity to do that in a timeline that synchronizes our efforts is really a tremendous opportunity for our collective teams on both sides of the theaters, if you will. And so as you look at the numbers, I don't actually know what they have over there in the Indo-PACOM environment, but particularly for us, as we highlighted, that we've got a couple hundred here that are supporting the effort.
Yes, sir, right here.
Sir, rumor says that it will hold the clothes and stop moving to Fairford, or will move to Fairford. So what will be that changing in the future? So the Fairford importance for you will increase. Is that right?
So certainly, as I highlighted earlier, Fairford remains a strategic location because of the relationships here. And what I would offer to you as we move forward, we're continuing to assess our basing, and current plans, as you've highlighted, are for us to close Milton Hall at some point in the future. But as we look in the environment, we will continue to assess and take a good look at that across, frankly, the UK and the broader European region to make sure that our posture and our forward presence locations fit the plans that are out there. And I think as the environment changes over time, that will be something that we continue to assess, and we'll look at how the environment has changed such that we ensure we have the right strategic basing construct.
Okay, so it's that no plans that you do the deployments in a more regular basis, like in the past?
We'll continue to have a rotational presence here. It wouldn't be appropriate to go in the exact timing of that, but I think as we've demonstrated here, we have the agility to do it in a timely fashion, and we'll continue to do that. Sir.
Yes, sir.
Jerry Gunner, Air International. Informally, we've had B-2s and B-52s here together. Why just the 52s this time?
So as we looked at the rotational presence here, and as we look to be able to tailor and scale our forces, we saw this as a real good time based on all things that were being executed here in terms of training, exercises, and interoperability to scale to a slightly larger size. And this has afforded also our crews and our maintainers a chance to bring a larger package here to ensure that we'd be able to operate this size package here, execute the sorties that we're looking to fly here. And so really this was focused on our readiness and the ability to build readiness over time with this package.
Thank you,
Sir.
Michael Berlin from the American magazine. It's not a technical question, this one, but how did the crews and the support staff like coming to England to be deployed?
I would say they love it thus far. Great friends, great partners, very welcoming, and I think as they get to spend a little bit more time here, I think what you'll really find is this gives us an opportunity for them to get to know their partners here on base and build those trust, confidence, and those relationships that'll be enduring, quite frankly, so that should we have to come back, we'll already have those as part of our relationship and the strategic relationship that we've had for so long.
We have time for 2 more questions at this time, 2 last questions.
I like these kind of questions.
Any last questions? All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. You guys have a good day.